Welcome friends to the 2023 BMW 330i review. This is the LCI, the Life Cycle Impulse. So let's first talk about what's new for 2023. We have new revised styling in the front and the rear. The taillights and headlights, they're also redesigned. But the main changes occur in the interior space. We have the exact same infotainment setup as the new BMW 7 Series and the BMW iX EV. We have a 12.3-inch gauge cluster in the front and a 14.9-inch infotainment screen. It's all wrapped together in this curved display. And this screen comes standard with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as navigation, voice assistance, and 5G Wi-Fi hotspot. But I'll talk more about this screen during the interior segment, but that's pretty much everything that's new for 2023. The vehicle that we are testing here, it's the 4-cylinder 330i with the M Sport package on it, and it stickers for around $49,000 the way you see it here. And regarding the looks, I'm just happy this doesn't have the crazy, insane grille that the 4 Series and some of the M cars have. I really like this classic BMW styling. And the M Sport package definitely looks good with these 19-inch wheels and other enhancements, but let's transition over into this driving segment and let's see what the actual differences are. This car only gets sideways just a bit because it's raining out, but if it's dry, it really doesn't get sideways. The car is too balanced for it to get out of sorts, and it's the 4-cylinder, right? Not to knock that, okay? This 4-cylinder engine, it feels 90% as potent as my 2019 BMW 440i inline 6. I'm not even exaggerating about that. In fact, this 4-cylinder has the same amount of torque as the old B58 inline 6. Now, you can upgrade today to the M340i, and that's got the upgraded 382 horsepower engine. But I kid you not, these engines, they feel way quicker, way faster than what the numbers suggest. I mean, the M340i, that vehicle feels like it's got 500 horsepower on tap. I'm not even joking. So I've noticed just with pretty much all of BMW's new drivetrains, the 4-cylinder, the 6, and the V8s, they pretty much end up being class leading or pretty much the fastest vehicles in its class on paper, but also in the way that it feels, right? It really pushes you back into your seat. So I put the car back into its comfort mode because as you saw there, when you put the car into the sport mode, it starts to pump in that fake engine sound, which they did a pretty good job with. I don't mind it, but just for the sake of this video and the audio quality purposes, I'm just going to put this car into the comfort mode. So as pretty much every other reviewer has said, the drivetrain with BMW, okay, their engines paired with these 8-speed ZF automatics, it's number one, essentially. It's the quickest, it's the snappiest, it's the most responsive. All of that is true. It's all very impressive. And the fuel economy is fantastic as well with these 4-cylinders, and even the inline 6 actually. But this 4-cylinder rear-wheel drive model is quoted to get 25 mpg in the city and 34 out on the highway, and these are very accurate numbers indeed. In fact, even when I drive this car really hard, I'm still getting 19 to low 20s actually in terms of mpg. So when you drive it more mellow, the fuel economy is just excellent in the real world. But that's the thing, this car does not encourage you to drive it mellow. If you drive this car like a stereotypical Altima driver, yeah, this car is not gonna be good for you because this car really eggs you on. It really wants you to drive it aggressively 24/7. And it doesn't matter what engine you get, that's just the way they have these 3 Series cars tuned. It always wants you to floor it. It always wants you to take corners really hard, really sharp. because it's got a super rigid chassis. It's got precision. You have confidence when you whip this thing around. The brakes, they feel fine for street driving, but I will say, if you're going to get this M Sport package with the 330i, you can get the Shadowline package, and then you can upgrade the brakes to a more M Sport brake, if you will. They should just give you M Sport brakes as standard when you get this M package, but they don't. You have to get the Shadowline for an additional $1,300. And that leads me to the next topic of ride quality and handling. This M Sport package comes with variable steering, and it's also got the sporty M-tuned suspension on it. And this car is very firm. This is easily the firmest car in its class. I mean, you can certainly daily this. I personally don't mind it, but I know there are some people that are not going to appreciate this ride. It's tuned to be firm, and it's not even adaptive. It's just stiff like this all the time. You actually have to option in adaptive suspension for an additional $550. We don't have that here, so when I go between the different modes, comfort, sport, it all rides the same, right? I have heard from other journalists, they did say that the adaptive dampers do make a difference with this car. Whether it does or not, I mean, it's only $550. Instead of questioning it, might as well just get it anyway. So that way, if you want to enjoy the M Sport looks and the sporty suspension, but have the ability to put it into a comfort setting, then you will have that available to you. But in my opinion, I would skip all of the M Sport stuff on the 330i model. I would just save the money because the M Sport is $3,100. And yeah, it looks good. I appreciate the wheels. I appreciate really how it drives as well. But I just think $3,000 is too much money. I feel like you can use that money for other more important options that you can actually appreciate on a day-to-day basis. Like if you need to get the all-wheel drive, or if you want other niceties like the Harman Kardon audio system, or if you want to pay $250 for the spare tire, which I do recommend you doing because standard we have here run flat tires. And the run flat tires on this, it's the Goodyear tires, and I don't like them at all. If it was like a Bridgestone or a Pirelli run flat tire, that would have been fine. Those are actually quiet and they provide pretty good grip as well. These Goodyear tires, they don't grip the best, and also they make more road noise. So these run flats suck. If you got the spare tire and you're able to equip this car with a Continental or a Michelin all-season performance tire, that would really help smoothen things out here. Getting the non-M Sport car with the standard suspension and even going with the 18-inch wheels, that's really going to be a phenomenal daily driver. So that's what you do if you want a softer BMW. But if you like this hardcore driving, then yeah, this car is really good. I mean, you can hustle this thing around some corners. Yeah, that's what if you're an aggressive driver or you suffer from road rage, my goodness, this car is not going to help you at all. In fact, you should just stay away from this car and get something more mellow like the Audi A4. I'm being serious here. I mean, it always makes you want to drive like a douchebag. There's pretty much no body roll with it. I think the vehicle weighs 3,536 pounds the way you see it here, and if you tack on the all-wheel drive, that's going to add 135 pounds to the curb weight. Weight distribution is 51% in the front, 49% in the rear for the rear-wheel drive models, and it's 52% in the front, 48% in the back for the all-wheel drive 330i. Not that you're going to notice or care, I just thought I would mention that. And regarding the refinement of this car, there's not really too much wind noise with it, even at the higher speeds. The only real noise that you're getting is from the run flat tires on this Goodyear. But even that is not unbearable. So overall, this car is doing a good job with its refinement. But some of the cons with the driving, as I mentioned, it's a little too firm, especially with the M Sport package. And other cons, I mean, this steering rack is a bit strange. The way it loads up, the way it feels, it's not super fluid, if that makes sense. I like it, but there's no feedback to it. It's pretty heavy, even in the comfort mode. All of these things I don't mind, but I just want to let you know that's how the steering feels in this car. Again, it's trying to be sporty. It's trying to make you feel like you're driving a performance car, because the reality is you don't need the car to feel stiff like this to have great driving dynamics. Like things like the Audi, things like the Lexus IS350 F Sports, or even some of the Mercedes products, they remain pretty chill to drive, but all the capabilities are there. Like, it's almost as capable as this. This might edge it out just a little bit, but it's nearest makes no difference. Very close. All these cars, they're pretty dynamic. They all drive pretty good, especially out on the street, and they'll have a smoother ride quality as well. So this is trying to give you that impression that you're in something really sporty, and it's cool. It adds to the character. I like it. It makes it fun to drive. It's what I prefer, and it's what you expect out of a 3 Series or a BMW product. So I'm not saying it's a complaint. It's just that every car in this segment offers something that is going to please a certain buyer. Okay, not everyone is the same. We all have our different tastes and our different needs, and this is meeting the sporty need very well. In this particular class, I would say the biggest threat to the BMW 3 Series, if you love to drive, is actually the Alfa Romeo Giulia. I haven't driven the Giulia in particular, but I have tried the Stelvio SUV, the Veloce trim, out on the Tail of the Dragon Road, and I was impressed. You know, color me impressed. That was an impressive driving experience for sure. I would say get the Audi A4 if you want more comfort, something even quieter than this, and better ride quality. In fact, you can even step up to an Audi S4 and it's going to be smoother and quieter than this as well. Audi is just known for that. My only gripe with Mercedes is I like the way they drive, and obviously the C-Class got redesigned this year, but I've noticed in the lower end Mercedes products, their interior space just feels so cheap and nasty. I mean, it feels like a clapped out car when it's brand new. That's what I don't like about the lower end Mercedes products. You have to step up to at least the E-Class level Mercedes to get a good high quality experience. Hopefully they enhance the interior quality, you know, in the C-Class for this new generation. But this 3 Series, you know, it continues to win because it looks good and it's a pretty good all-rounder. And, you know, when people try to graduate into this level of car, they expect a certain level of driving capability and feel. This is offering those feelings to you. It's exciting. It's cool to drive. It's got character. I certainly appreciate it, and I definitely appreciate the performance, you know, out on the highway. It's got phenomenal stability. It's like a rock out on the highway. Triple digit plus speeds. I think the top speed is like 130, and yeah, it's pretty good at those speeds. And this car will get up there, you know, even this 4-cylinder, because it keeps pulling out on the highway. This thing's got legitimate performance, even as a 4-cylinder. It's really good. But if you're an absolute speed demon and you want a complete rocket experience, get the M340i. That's going to satisfy you. M3, M4 even more so, but you know, those cars, they don't look the best anymore, sadly. But we can talk more about competitors and purchasing this car and the value proposition that this has to offer in the conclusion segment. I think you get the point with the driving of this car. So let's go ahead and let's transition over into the interior space. Okay, now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior space. As I mentioned before, the biggest change and the biggest highlight here is going to be this new technology. This massive curved display that's straight out of the new 7 Series and the iX houses the 12.3-inch gauge cluster and the 14.9-inch infotainment screen. I typically don't like it when car companies just tack on massive screens into a vehicle, but I can't deny it, they did a really good job implementing this tech in this vehicle. Everything looks clean and crisp. I like the way they have the icons laid out here. It almost reminds me of like Microsoft Windows, but it's good. It's quick, it's snappy, and the graphics are nice and clear. I like the different modes and the different designs for the gauge cluster that you can go through. We also have your wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto as standard with these displays. Now, if you go for the premium package, which I suggest you doing, it's going to cost about $1,900 for the regular 330i, but once you tack on the M Sport package like you see here, I think the premium package, the price drops to like $1,300. And what you get with that is a heads-up display, heated front seats, a heated steering wheel, and you get the driver's side lumbar support as well, the adjustable lumbar for the driver's seat. But the heads-up display, it really does complete the technology in this 3 Series, if you will. It looks good, shows you some great information, and you can also customize that to your liking as well. But one thing that really pisses me off about this technology in this new BMW 3 Series is going to be the climate control. They pretty much buried all of that into the infotainment screen. I really hate it when car companies do that, and that's probably the most distracting thing about this car, is accessing the climate control and changing it while you're moving. And here's the thing, they have some buttons here at the bottom below the air vents, which for 2023 they slimmed down the design of the air vents, but below that you have the buttons for your volume knob, you have your track selection buttons, hazard lights, and your defrosters for the front and the rear. I really liked it before when BMW had their own separate display and knobs and switches for the climate control that was separated from the screen. I really liked that. They took that away here, and I don't know. Some people are going to appreciate this. People like me, I don't, and others are going to comment that, oh, you can access the voice assistants and tell the car to turn on and off your air conditioning or your heated seats. But I like the old school buttons and switches. That's what I appreciate. One thing I really like about this new redesigned interior is the gear lever knob, or the lack thereof. No more shifter. We have here this little toggle switch, and that's what I prefer. If you're going to put digital gear shifters into a vehicle, you might as well make it slim and compact like this. And if you don't want to touch your infotainment screen, you can still utilize this iDrive knob. So I like how they gave you a choice there. This car does have auto stop start, but it actually works pretty decently here. It's very smooth, but I still turn it off. Thankfully, there's a button to do that here, and you have your traction control off button and your parking sensors. I like the overall build quality of this car. It feels nice and solid, similar to the Audi A4 or even the Lexus IS. All of these cars have a nice tight feeling, unlike the C classes that I've tested in the past. Again, hopefully the new one is better, but this is great. Nothing is creaking or rattling in here. The wood design in here looks really good. It's glossy, but I like it. It suits the interior just fine. The doors feel pretty heavy. Feels good when you open and close them. This car is also an IIHS top safety pick. In fact, most BMWs are. They tend to really do well in a crash test. We don't have double pane glass being used in this vehicle, but as I mentioned, it is pretty quiet in here. Something like the Audi is going to be quieter still, but this is good the way that it is. We have one touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. We have the base audio system here, which is a 10 speaker 205 watt unit. It sounds really good. I would recommend paying the $875 to get the Harman Kardon. If you really love your music, it really enhances the clarity. But the way you see it here, this is perfectly fine. You have a lot of bass here as well with the standard audio system. So if you want to save the money, you can, but it's $875. I think you should splurge. The cubby spaces in here, it's not too vast. The armrest space, it's not massive, but it's useful. You can put like wallets and things in there. The glove box, that's a decent size. And when you open up this center flap here, it gives you access to 2 cup holders. And of course, they put the USB port right in between the cup holders. And then we have a place to store your phone. If you want to get the wireless charging, which we don't have here, that's going to cost you an additional $200. Here, it's just a place to store your phone. We have automatic headlights, automatic high beams, and automatic windshield wipers. We do have a sunroof here with this particular car, and I'll talk about the seats next. It's the Sensitech seats, and they're okay. They're not bad. It's tolerable because we have excellent lumbar support. That's why you need to get that premium package, because if you suffer from lower back issues or something and you're going to be driving this long distance, then that lumbar support is really going to help you out. It makes it a lot more tolerable. I will say, getting in and out of this car, it's pretty low compared to most of the vehicles in this class. This car does sit a bit lower. Once again, they're trying to lower that center of gravity here. But seating position is good. Seeing out of this car is easy. The mirrors do a great job. That's not a problem. All right, let's go ahead and let's transition over into the rear seats. It's pretty tight back there. It's not super spacious. I am 5'11". I can sit behind myself, but I'm not stretching out back there by any means. And there's this hard plastic cover on the back of the front seats. So if you're an adult and you're sitting back there, that plastic is going to be digging into your shins, and that's not going to be a very pleasant experience. And headroom, it's a little bit constricted back there as well. And if you're going to have somebody sit in the middle, we do have here that massive barrier in between, so it's going to be kind of uncomfortable for a fifth person to sit back there. But you do have your own climate control and your vents that you can play with back there. But the trunk space is decent, and I love how you can fold down the rear seats as well. That makes this car super practical. And we don't have a spare tire with this particular car. That's an additional $250 option. I would suggest you get that, because then you can get regular all-season tires on this car and make it a little bit smoother. But overall, that's my look at the new 2023 3 Series. So let's conclude here. Overall, I really enjoyed driving this car. I like the more sporty feeling vehicles like this. I think it definitely adds character. I think they nailed it here with the feeling of this car. But again, I would save the money regarding the M Sport package. If you can make the car softer, I think that's a good thing. That's going to help appeal to more buyers. And then I would rather option in things like the Harman Kardon, the spare tire, the wireless charging, and potentially all-wheel drive if you so choose. And also, even with the regular 3 Series, you can option in 19-inch wheels if you like the way those wheels look. You can certainly do that. That's a $600 option. And compared to the competition, well, that's an interesting topic, because that's also going to depend on your finances really, and how you're going to be purchasing these cars. Are you going to be paying cash? Are you going to be financing? Or are you going to be leasing? In my personal opinion, I feel like if you're going to purchase these German or European vehicles, you should lease them. Sadly, BMW is not the phenomenal lease hack car that it used to be. You know, back in the good old days before 2020, you could have leased these cars for like $300 a month all day long. You know, those days are long done with. I'm partnered with AutoCompanion. They are a leasing broker, and they help you to get good deals, but they have a free leasing calculator that you can play with, and I'll leave that stuff in the description box. It's free, so you can play with it, put some numbers in, and help yourself get acquainted and educated on leasing if you want to go down that route. But I did some calculations with this car. It was like $700 a month with zero money down, assuming you have perfect credit, for a $50,000 330i. $700 a month, that really blows. Honestly, this car makes the most amount of sense if you're leasing this and you qualify for a BMW loyalty, like the loyalty credits, the lease credits, and the excellent 39-month low interest rate lease for the loyalty BMW customers. I feel like that's when the 3 Series and most BMW products make the most sense, especially on a lease. Then it's like $600 a month, no money down, which is a little bit more tolerable. I know leasing prices have gone up across the board. So yeah, $600, everything included, taxes and fees. That's pretty good right there. The competitors like the Alfa Romeo Giulia that I mentioned, that's another vehicle that leases out for around $600 a month. And before I did this review, I was thinking long and hard about it. If I was shopping in this segment, which car would I choose? Because there's a lot of competitors. You have the German rivals like the Audi A4, the Mercedes C-Class, and then you have the others like the Alfa Giulia, then you have the Lexus IS 350 F Sport, and the Genesis G70. I think many people will appreciate the Audi A4. I think for the people looking for the comfortable, refined experience, that smooth, fluid experience, they're gonna love the Audi. So I wouldn't choose it because that's not for me, but I feel like most people can appreciate that car. I feel like that's what most people want. So there you go. There's a car in this segment for pretty much everyone. That's the good thing. But my top 3 choices would probably be this 3 Series, the Alfa Giulia, and the Lexus IS 350 F Sport. All 3 of these cars lease out for around $600 a month. Well, this one's $700 if you don't get the loyalty, but you get the point. And between these 3 cars, which one would I choose? I mean, I would choose Alfa, but the thing is, the dealership support isn't that great in the United States. And, you know, it's kind of an iffy sketch car, you know, FCA quality. You know, do I want to deal with that? You know, yes, it looks good. Yes, it's going to drive amazing, but do I want to deal with it? I don't know. BMW has amazing support. BMW Financial is great. You can put these cars on swap a lease. You know, there's a lot of flexibility here with BMW. Same thing with Lexus, and you have multiple dealerships, and their support is amazing with both Lexus and BMW in the States. I think I might choose the BMW because it's a great all-rounder. But if you're either paying cash or you're financing, Lexus IS 350 F Sport all day long. I mean, you can just remove everything else off the table. If you're financing or you're paying cash, Lexus all day long. And there's actually some pretty decent deals for that car as well. But all things considered, this is pretty top tier. I mean, phenomenal fuel economy, excellent driving dynamics. I mean, it's when you drive something like this, that's when you notice a difference between, you know, these BMWs and a lot of the Japanese cars. You know, the precision, the sharpness of this car is pretty next level. The biggest highlight with the Lexus is going to be that engine, that 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6. That's going to be the most charismatic engine choice. But you're not really going wrong with any of these cars. At least now you know where pretty much all of these cars sit. And listen, if you have experience with these cars, if you've driven a lot of the vehicles in this class and category, let us know your thoughts. If you're an owner, definitely share your thoughts as well. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for your time and for watching this video. I'll have my next video on the end screen here. Click on it and I will see you there.